Good morning, loves. If you're new here, joining my family, we are reading Goblins in a Castle by Bruce Coville. We're on chapter 10. You can go to the playlist and start at the beginning if you haven't been following along. Chapter 10, Into the World. Get it off, I cried, as the thing wrapped its long fingers in my hair. Igor, get it off me! I heard Igor grunt. I swung around, trying to dislodge the attacker myself, and saw at least 8 more of the creatures coming at us. I didn't have time to study them. I remember only a sense of exaggerated features. Big eyes, huge noses, flapping ears. Beyond that, it was chaos as they came bounding out of the darkness. The goblin on my back was shrieking with delight. Igor was roaring with fury. "Get off that, William!" he cried, lashing out with his bear and whacking the goblins that clung to me. It bounced away, taking some of my skin with it. The others hurried on, screaming, shouting, grabbing at Igor. He lashed out with his bear, swinging it to the right and the left. "Bop!" he cried. "Bop! Bop! Bop! Take that, goblin, and that, and that." I found that by using the torch I could drive some of them back. Igor's frenzied strength was terrible to see. In only a moment, the goblins fled, shrieking into the darkness. I collapsed against the wall. "Thank goodness that's over." Igor shook his head. "Maybe over, maybe not. Come on, we got to keep moving. Bear done good," he added, patting the bear on the head and giving it a little kiss. Igor loved bear. We moved more cautiously now, fearing another attack at any moment. After a time, we came to a stone bridge that crossed a gap in the floor. I wondered if the stream below was the same one I had found the night I met Ishmael. A similar set of stairs led down to the edge of the stream. "Don't put foot in water," said Igor. "Might not get it back." Remembering how I had dipped my hands in the water that other night, I shivered and squeezed against the wall. We followed the stream through a stone tunnel. At the point where the stream disappeared, we came to a crude door. Igor pushed it open. The tunnel on the other side was cut through soil rather than stone, and was braced with rough-cut timbers. The earthen walls were moist and slippery. The crooked things sticking out from the walls frightened me until I realized they were roots. After several minutes, we reached a stone wall that blocked any more progress. "Hold bear," growled Igor. I took the bear. Igor began to grunt and groan. Soon the stone wall was replaced by a dazzling circle of light. I followed Igor out of the hole. I was outside. "Bleh," said Igor. "Don't like daytime. Hurt eyes." I knew what he meant. The sun was so bright compared to our flickering torch that at first I found it hard to see out there. Blinking, I looked back at the comfortable darkness we had just left and gasped in astonishment when I saw the enormous boulder Igor had pushed aside. He was even stronger than I had realized, almost stronger than I could imagine. We had crossed under the moat and come up not far from its shore. On the other side of the murky water loomed Toad-in-a-Cage Castle. I had never seen it from the outside before, and I was amazed at its size. The 4 tall towers formed a sort of box around the castle itself, which squatted beneath them, almost like a toad in a cage. Suddenly I realized that the mist that had always surrounded the North Tower was gone. I shivered and looked away. The air was sweet and clean, but the sky was so high and far off that I felt small and unprotected. Though it was exciting to be outside, I missed the safety of 4 walls and a roof. "Come on," said Igor, tapping me lightly with his bear. "We got to go." We followed a path that led up a tree-covered hill. A light breeze rustled through the dead leaves that swirled around our feet. Sunlight fell in patches around us, dappling through the brightly colored half-bare trees. The path was faint, but Igor seemed to know it well. He led me up hills and down, across land I had studied from the library window, yet never set foot on. After an hour or so, we crested a hill that overlooked the village. "Are we going to go there?" I asked eagerly. Igor shook his head. "Igor don't go to town during day." I sighed. It would have been exciting to go where there were other people, though as I stared longingly at the town, I began to realize that it wasn't what I had expected, that it was drab and bare, the streets nearly deserted. "Where is everyone?" Igor shrugged. "Not many people anymore. Town used to be bigger, brighter." He paused, then added, "Used to be more fun." "What happened to it?" "Who knows? Not Igor. Come on, we got to keep going." We took a wide path around the village. Troubled as I was by what had happened, I was also half giddy with excitement of being outside, overwhelmed by the sights and smells and sounds of the world that I had never entered before. Igor had to bop me 3 times to get me to settle down. "Quiet, William," he urged. "Got to be quiet." Toward the middle of the day, he took me into a shallow cave where we sat to rest while the sun passed its high point. "Too bright," muttered Igor, scuttling to the back of the cave. Igor don't like too bright. Late in the afternoon, we started out again. Along the way, Igor showed me various plants that we could eat, sometimes fruit, sometimes leaves or stems, sometimes even roots. As it grew dark, we entered the forest. Leaves rustled beneath our feet. The branches over our heads cut scars across the pale white moon, which floated huge and full above us. I had seen the forest before, had spent hours studying it from my window, but being inside it was different. From the inside, it felt wild and strange, more frightening and beautiful than I could have imagined. Thick trees, gnarled and weather-worn, loomed in the moonlight like sentinels, challenging our right to be there. The trail we followed led along the edge of a great gorge, a deep and rocky drop filled with mystery and moon shadow. I tried to stay as far from it as I could, but something about it seemed to grip me. Over and over, I found myself peering into those wild, rocky depths. So I was the first one to see the goblins. "Igor!" I cried. "Watch out!" It was too late. A band of them swarmed over the edge. Ignoring me, they threw themselves toward Igor, leaping and clawing. Roaring with anger, Igor lashed around him with the bear. "Bop, bop, bop," he cried. Goblins flew in all directions. But there were more of them now than in the first attack. Many more. "Leave him alone," I cried, flinging myself into the fray, trying to pull the goblins away from him. But for each one I managed to dislodge, it seemed that 2 more took its place. They swarmed over Igor like ants over a sweet. The fourth goblin I pulled from Igor turned on me with eyes of fire and an open mouth that seemed to take up half its face. With a cry of rage, it flung me aside. I crashed into a tree and the world went black. When I opened my eyes again, the battle was over. Igor, still thrashing wildly, had been bound and was being carried toward the gorge on the backs of a dozen goblins. Even as I staggered to my feet, they disappeared over the edge, chanting, "Nil bog, nil bog, nil bog." "Igor," I cried, as if that would bring him back. "Igor!" Something hit me from behind. I staggered forward and fell face down in the leaves. When I opened my eyes again, the moon was low in the sky. The night was silent. I was alone. My head hurt. I put my hand on the back of it and felt a sticky lump. Crawling to the edge of the gorge, I tried to stare into its depths. They were lost in shadow. The only thing I could make out was much closer at hand. On a ledge, about 5 feet below, lay Igor's bear.